The Buffalo Bills, the proverbial punching bag of the AFC East. That will be the Patriots' opponent this week. I'm Alex Barth. He's Evan Lazar from Foxboro. And you're shaking a little bit.
It's cold out here, man.
Come on. It's October. We still got at least 2 months of this. I thought you were a New Englander.
I am a New Englander, but I am not. I don't like the cold weather at all.
You're soft?
Yeah, a little soft in the cold weather.
Speaking of being soft, the Buffalo Bills quarterback situation is a complete mess. Tyrod Taylor takes them to the playoffs last year. They trade him. They sign, then trade A.J. McCarron. They draft Josh Allen, I think is safe to call it a question mark in the draft. He gets hurt. They're now stuck with Nathan Peterman and maybe 70-year-old Derek Anderson. He's 36, but he's been in the league forever. He was throwing touchdowns to Braylon Edwards in Cleveland.
I listen to this every
That's
day.
how old Derek Anderson is. What are the Bills doing? Did the Bills really think they can make the moves they made and still be a playoff contender? Or were they fine totally resetting, being like, all right, we made the playoffs for the first time in 20 years. Let's wait another 20 years before we get back.
Let's be honest. They were in the playoffs last year by appearance only, right?
But
they were not a playoff team.
They made it.
They
made it.
In
they
week
had
17,
the best season the Bills have had in our
bail
lifetimes.
them out in week 17 to make the playoffs.
It's the best season they've had in 2 decades.
I don't even know about that. I think the 2011 season, they were a better team. They just choked.
But they did not make the playoffs.
Oh, God. I get it, but they knew that they weren't anywhere close to being a contender with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback or just with their team right now in general. They got some extra draft capital. They were able to get some players, Tremaine Edmonds, Josh Allen at the top of the draft to kind of add to this kind of nucleus of Tre'Davious White and some of the other guys that they've acquired over the last couple years. They knew last year that they weren't a good team. They knew that they squeaked into the playoffs and they got lucky. And they knew that, if they were going to build a contender that's actually going to vie for a Super Bowl, that might make a Final Four or play in an AFC title game someday, it wasn't going to be with Tyrod Taylor.
We've seen so many teams in the last decade succeed based on their defense with a plug-and-play quarterback, right?
Yeah.
We saw Denver do
That's
it.
fair.
We saw Seattle do it. The Bills' defense isn't as good as those Denver, Seattle defenses, but they have some nice young pieces. You could see them potentially building up to something like that. Tyrod Taylor is that plug-and-play, won't lose you any, not going to win you any games, won't lose you any games quarterback. Nathan Peterman's a quarterback that's going to lose you games. Josh Allen is still probably a couple years away from being a quarterback that at least won't lose you any games, okay? Derek Anderson is old as hell.
Yeah.
Why there was a blueprint there. They're not going to be the New England Patriots. They're not going to be this world beater team, even if I think Josh Allen hits the top of his projections.
Yeah.
So why go for that when you have a chance to be a team that you sneak into the playoffs with a strong defense like Jacksonville did last year, right?
Oh, come on.
I would not say Tyrod Taylor.
They're not getting anywhere close to where Jacksonville was last year.
I would not say Tyrod Taylor is a worse quarterback than Blake Bortles.
No,
I would not.
I would agree with you there.
And look at Jacksonville. They got in last year on a strong defense and beat a very good Pittsburgh Steelers team. I don't think the Bills, as they were constituted last year, were too far off from being that kind of team. But to blow up their offense like they did, I think, I said it before, I'll say it again. They didn't make the playoffs for 20 years. They set themselves back another 20 years.
I think 20 years is an exaggeration, but I think that...
They probably said that when Jim Kelly left, that 20 years was an exaggeration.
The big thing that I think that you have a good argument for is that they could have kept Tyrod Taylor for the year, sat Josh Allen behind Tyrod Taylor, and done what the Browns kind of planned on doing, but they couldn't because Tyrod Taylor stinks, and they played Baker Mayfield instead because he's the better quarterback, right? So I think that really what you're looking at here is that a lot of executives around the league, a lot of coaches around the league think that Tyrod Taylor is not very good. All right, and
he's not very good, but you have to remember there's less than 32 good quarterbacks in the NFL. Not every NFL team is going to have a good quarterback.
I think they confidently believed that Josh Allen was their guy. They drafted Josh Allen in the first round. I understand the arguments for maybe sitting him behind a veteran like Tyrod Taylor, but they knew that Tyrod Taylor wasn't the future of the organization, so they traded him when they could still get something for him. They built through the draft. Then they are going for what your formula is, but what they're doing is that they realized that their quarterback play needed to be better in order for them to win a playoff game.
I don't know how much better even if Allen pans, I don't know how much better it is. I don't know what the odds are Josh Allen pans out, and even still how long that's going to take.
his potential alone is so much higher than what Tyrod Taylor
But this is a guy that's coming from Wyoming who has shown an inability to catch up with the speed and the IQ of an NFL defense.
I had a second-round grade on Josh Allen. I think they reached on Josh Allen. I think the teams are going to do the exact same thing with Drew Lock in this draft.
By the time Allen catches up, you're going to need to either be paying these guys on defense, and some of them are going to go elsewhere for the big contracts. Some of them are going to get old. Some of them aren't going to be as good. I just don't. The reset, right? I get what you're saying with the reset.
You were a fringe playoff team. With Tyrod Taylor, you were a fake, phony playoff team.
But what I am saying is, yes, but
what good is that?
Aren't they better off steering into the skid than just putting the car in reverse?
No, they're not putting the car in reverse. They're trying to build an organization, trying to build a team, trying to build a roster. What you were going to do with Tyrod Taylor, again, was go 8-8, squeak into the playoffs maybe, and get your doors blown off.
But isn't that better than 4 wins for the next 2 or 3 years?
I don't think so. Why is that better? Why is it better to be mediocre than it is to kind of get into some draft capital situations where they can draft some guys? Listen, if you go back to what the biggest problem with the Buffalo Bills is that they traded an absolute haul for Sammy Watkins, a wide receiver, when they didn't have a quarterback. That was the biggest problem that they did. That was what set them back the most, more than a Tyrod Taylor trade did. And they finally got out from Watkins. I understand where they're going with it, I guess. And I think that, when you are a team like the Buffalo Bills, you made the playoffs, you ended that terrible streak of not making the playoffs, and now you got to start putting together some pieces to maybe contend in the playoffs and not just be a good story of getting in on a Andy Dalton Hail Mary in Week 17 and getting your doors blown off of you by Jacksonville in the division in the wild card round. What good is that? That's mediocre. That's middle of the road. That no one wants that.
And I think a wise man once said it best: you play to win the game. How would you grade the Bills' quarterback situation right now? Give us a grade, A to F, in the comments below. Let us know, and of course, we'll have you covered up to and throughout the game. Evan and I will be in Buffalo on Monday night.
It's gonna be
you can follow
there.
along at Patriots CLNS. It's CLNSmedia.com. Yes, bring a couple coats, buddy, all right?
Yeah.
It's going to be a little windy. It's going to be a little cold, but we will have all of your coverage. Again, I'm Alex Barth. He's Evan Lazar. Thanks for watching.